syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Charles.
Well, this is a huge embarrassment for the administration, and it is a blow to the whole idea of having the terrorist tried in civilian court. This is a guy who was involved in a plot. Now, his defense was that he was an errand boy. He was a dupe. He had no idea what was happening. But that was undermined by the one count on which the jury found him guilty, which was conspiracy. Now, conspiracy, as the judge explained explicitly, he was asked to come in and explain the law. Conspiracy is defined as knowingly, willingly being part of a plot. So obviously he knew he was involved in a plot, which undermines the entire defense, and yet he's acquitted on 280-plus charges. What this demonstrates is two things. Number one, in principle, we should never have these people who are acting as illegal combatants in a war against the United States, a jihad that Osama bin Laden had declared openly in 1998 to kill Americans everywhere in the world, ought not be treated like ordinary Americans who have these high protections under the Constitution. And secondly, we see that when you do this in practice, there was a very important witness who was not allowed to testify. He would have said that he had sold the TNT to the defendant. He couldn't because of the rules of evidence. Practically speaking, it undermines these prosecutions, and we end up with this huge, embarrassing setback.
You know, this comes, of course, as the administration is saying that it's getting ready, the Attorney General, Eric Holder, saying getting ready to say what's going to happen to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11. And the thought was that potentially he could be tried in civilian court. Senator Chuck Schumer from New York said it's not going to happen in New York last week. What does happen now?
Well, that looks, I mean, it looks like Schumer is right on this, and that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed probably will remain kind of indefinitely in military detention here. I mean, as Charles said, this is obviously a huge blow to the Obama administration. It's also a huge blow to Eric Holder. You wonder now if the clock on his time at the Justice Department is ticking, and that, you know, here is an administration that is in the middle of all sorts of changes internally at the White House, but you wonder if this gives them a chance to really turn the page from a lot of setbacks that they've had over these past years.
And what does the left do to all of this? The calling for these civilian trials, calling for Guantanamo Bay to be closed.
Well, I mean, this will really, I think, confirm the right's position, which said that this was a real danger to put these guys in civilian courts and really kind of afford them some of the laws and protections that Americans have. But I mean, I think even the left has in some ways tired of Eric Holder, at least, for different reasons. But you saw, you know, there's been a profile in GQ. Mother Jones has said maybe it's even time for Eric Holder to resign.
Steve.
The left will say, look, if we hadn't ever held him without trial, this wouldn't have been a problem, because then the information that we obtained in his enhanced interrogation would have never been the so-called fruit that poisoned the tree. So they will say we should have gone directly to trial, you know, intelligence that we obtained from him be damned. But I think it's really important to spend just a minute on who exactly this guy is. I mean, this is a huge, huge deal, and I think people need to understand this. A CIA document from June 3rd, 2005 said that he had provided new insights into al-Qaeda's skills and networks. He was a top document forger since the 9/11 attacks, has reported on how he'd forged passports, with whom he supplied them to. The Obama administration itself said the defendant was a, quote, rare find, and his then recent interactions with top-level al-Qaeda terrorists extraordinarily valuable. So he was a big deal. But also, if you look at the evidence that was presented in this case, he was found with detonators in his possession. He was connected directly to the truck in Tanzania that blew up the embassy. His cell phone had been used by one of the suicide bombers to make a flurry of calls before the attacks.
And this is evidence in the case.
This is evidence in the case. But as Charles points out, there was one particular key witness who had sold him the TNT. Now, Ghailani's defense, he admitted in his combatant status review tribunal, he said, yes, I bought this, but I thought it was soap for washing horses.
Charles, what's stunning, and what Catherine Herridge has reported for now weeks and going on months, is that as we sit here right now, no 9/11 suspect is officially charged, because the military commissions essentially were disbanded down in Gitmo, and now there's no one who stands charged of killing 3,000 Americans.
It's the classic example of Obama who comes in to reinvent the world. We already had the military system in place. It was slow, it was new, so it took a longer time to get it going. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed would have been subject to it. He asked for a guilty verdict in advance. He asked to be executed. And Obama steps in, Holder step in and say, oh no, we're going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to put you in New York. Of course, that's never going to happen. And now the fallback is indefinite detention, which I have no argument with, but if you could also have a military trial and you find him guilty, you ought to do it. It was all there, and these people decided they are all wise, omniscient, and they are going to redo everything. And now we see this is really a calamity.
All right, so down the road, military commissions return, Gitmo stays open?
It stays open for sure, and I think they're going to have to resort to the military commissions.
Yeah, I agree with Charles.
Yeah, if not Gitmo, then somewhere else. But I think it's more likely than not that Gitmo stays open and we go back to commissions.